What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pizza Reviews on the Go. A lot of people have requested that I continue to make more pizzas on this channel. I'm not exactly going to go a different route with this channel and make pizzas all the time, but I think I want to make at least 2 or 3 more videos about making pizza at home, different styles of pizza. Last time I made a New York style with supermarket ingredients. This time I'm getting a little more classy, using a little better ingredients, and I'm gonna make a grandma style.
So as for my dough recipe, pretty simple. You start out with a little bit of New York City tap water, rich in magnesium and calcium, some Bedia yeast. You take a teaspoon per 2.5 cups of flour, just a teaspoon or so. You can add 2. I decided to use 1. You put it in that water, mix it around. And I use 2 types of flour for this recipe. First and foremost, I went with some semolina. I used about 1/3 of semolina and 2/3 of regular all-purpose flour. Mix it around, slush it around, knead it up until it gets nice and consistent. Add water or more flour if you have to.
Okay, got my crisper, 16-inch crisper. They actually call this a crisper. It actually helps crisp up the dough because of the holes. So the steam kind of has an outlet to vent away, and you get a crispier crust with a crisper. Semolina flour, all-purpose flour combination, 35% hydration. Okay, guys, we're ready. We're getting ready. I think this has stretched as much as I wanted it to. Let's get the dough off the edges and set where they should be. It's going to be a nice thin crust pizza, guys. Nice thin crust. Look at that. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get some oil, EVOO, and we're going to drizzle it onto the crust just to create a barrier of oil that will help maintain crisp and ward off any potential moisture and water from the tomato sauce that could potentially sog up the dough. Even though we're going to put the sauce on top of the cheese, still, put a little oil on the crust. It won't hurt, believe me. Take a spoon, spread it out evenly. Get it over every single inch of this dough. Not too bad. All right, guys, it's about that time. You see this sauce? Look how chunky and pulpy it is. A little on the orange side, which is a first for me. I'm not sure why it has an orange tinge.
Making the sauce is an arduous task. You start with whole plum tomato. Give them a nice boil. Boil them and for about 20 minutes. And then what you want to do is unpeel them. And after unpeeling, put them in a blender with some garlic. Or you can make a sofrito with some garlic and onion. And slow simmer it, depending on how thick you want it, for at least 30 minutes.
Okay, guys, here we have a wonderful hunk of fresh mozzarella purchased at a local salameria nearby. Okay, it was about $10 a pound. What I did was I put it in the fridge to remove some of the moisture, because fresh mozzarella, as you know, guys, can have quite a bit of moisture in it. It's very milky, and I just put it in the fridge overnight. When you eat this mozzarella, you don't want to put it in the fridge and eat it. But when you're making pizza, you want to reduce some of the moisture. It's pretty good cheese. Grandma pizza, which means, a little home style, a little more artisanal than typical New York pizza. Grandma pizza was invented in Long Island at Umberto's, supposedly. They claim to be the originators of this style of pizza, and it's just a little more rustic. It's a little more artisanal, a little more homemade, home style. And it's usually made with fresh mozzarella, obviously. And we're going to go ahead and put this cheese onto the pie as evenly as possible. And typically grandma pizzas are made with 2 cheeses. Be rustic with it, guys. There's no measurements here. Nothing to measure here, guys. Nothing to measure. Be rustic. Grandma style pizza is usually a 2 cheese. It's usually a low moisture and a fresh mozz. It depends. Sometimes all you get is the fresh mozz. In this case, we're going to put some sliced provolone. I love provolone on pizza. Love it. Last but not least, guys, some of that beautiful sauce. You want to ladle it on. Get it nice and even. It's a nice chunky sauce, so you got to dollop it on there. I think we're good here. I think we're good. You know, you don't want to put too much. You don't want to make it heavy. You don't want that crust to flop. You want to make it nice, light. It's looking good. It's looking good. I want to make sure I get the sauce to the edges. You want to spread it to the edges. You don't want to leave any space, no patches of dryness anywhere. If you see mozzarella, don't put provolone on top of the other cheese. You put it in the spaces where there's no mozzarella present. Okay, guys, here we go. Oven's nice and hot. We're going to finish this off after it comes out of the oven with some basil, some olive oil, and some grated cheese. All right, here we go. Looking good. Nice and thin. That is looking pretty damn fine, folks. Nice even sauce and cheese distribution. Okay, I got one bubble. Just one. And that is the grandma style, guys. Not typically round, they're usually square, but this is basically a round version of it. The grandma style is very thin, and you know, it's made with a rustic. The sauce is usually fresh, it's chunkier, no cornicione on the end. This isn't New York style where it's kind of starts out thin and then it thickens up towards the back and you get that handle. You don't have that cornicione, you don't have that handle on a grandma style pizza. You don't. It's supposed to stay nice and thin from middle to edge. Time for some finishing touches. Let's finish this baby off with a nice dusting of Parmigiano Reggiano, the real deal. Look for the seal. Look for the stamp. Parmigiano Reggiano right here, guys. We're gonna grate it. We got our grater. Before we do that, we're gonna hit it up with a little bit of EVOO. A little bit of EVOO. Just a little bit, not too much, because we already put quite a bit of it on the dough before baking it. And you don't want to really give it a dusting. You want to put some shards on it. Shards, not grated. You want to basically put some nice shards on it. Nice. That's a grandma style right there, guys. That's how you do it. Nice. Be generous, man. Be generous. This is good, real deal Parmigiano Reggiano. As you grate it on there, you could just see some of those shards just melt into the cheese. That's how hot the pie still is. Oh, that looks beautiful. Last but not least, a little bit of basil, Nature's Choice organic basil. Oh, got a nice hint, got a nice whiff of it as soon as I opened that box. Get a couple leaves, and what you want to do is, you don't want to make it, you don't want to do it margarita style where you put the whole leaves on the pizza. This is a grandma style. What you want to do is maybe cut it up a little bit. I'm not going to let the fact that I made this pizza influence the score. That's not going to happen, right? I'm going to compare it to all the pizzas I've had over the years. How does it stack up? Okay, here we go. Let's see how this thing turned out. I can tell you one thing, the dough is really, really crispy. Not that pliable. Not really the most pliable dough. A little bit of flop. Not bad. It's really crunchy. You got that crispy first bite, crispy second bite, crispy third bite. Let's find out. But that cheese and that sauce, fresh mozzarella, Parmigiano, fresh tomato sauce, the basil, organic basil, guys, the flavor is through the roof. All right, guys, into the lab. Literally this time, for real this time, my kitchen. Into the lab we go. Let's put this pizza under the microscope, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Let's get a closer look and let me analyze it for you. And most grandma pizzas are almost as thin as tavern-style pizzas. No cornicione, of course. Thin from back to middle. I think I did a good job of getting that cheese to the edge, nice and caramelized there. There's some spots on the pie where the cheese is nice and caramelized towards the back. Got some good caramelization going, as you can see right there. The quality of these ingredients are top-notch, way above average. That sauce right there, guys, look at that. Nice and fresh, chunky, pulpy, naturally sweet. A little different than last time. Maybe the tomatoes were different because I noticed the sauce this time came out a little orange. Maybe I didn't simmer it as much or as long. The longer you simmer a sauce, the more liable it is to sweeten up and thicken up. I didn't want to do that this time. I wanted a nice chunky tomato sauce. I love that grated cheese on my pizza. You know that, guys. Look at those shards of cheese. Goes well with the mozzarella. The provolone is a little fattier than the fresh mozzarella, so you got a little bit of provolone with the fresher mozzarella and the sharp tang from the Parmigiano shards, as you can see, that I spread nice and generously over this pizza. Gives it a nice contrast, good contrast between sharp cheese, a little nuttiness from that provolone and that creamy mozzarella. Oh, baby. Basil was really good, above average basil. It's a Nature's Choice. That's the brand. It's organic and it's really pungent. And what do we do on this channel, guys? When the pizza gets cold, we give it another fold. And it's holding up this time. There's some char right there. A little too much flour maybe I used. See that? There's some char and some spots, not exactly leoparding. All right, guys, so what am I going to score this thing? I think the flavor is through the roof. It's phenomenal. It's so good. Crust, not too bad. Like, it depends on the slice. Look at that. You see that? Got some char after all. Some slices came out darker than the others. No oregano because of the basil. Either you put the oregano or the basil. You could have both. But you know what it is? When you make sauce like this, when you make a fresh sauce, you don't want to spice it up. You don't want to put too many oregano. You don't want to put too many spices on it. You want to taste that sauce, that tomato. You don't want nothing to interfere with the flavor of that tomato sauce. There is some fluff to it. It's not exactly matzo cracker. It's not tavern style. It's just really thin grandma style. And I think most grandma pizzas are like this. And so in terms of the grandma style, I got this shit right. If you're into grandma style pizza and you're all about that crunch, you want a nice crunchy base to deliver that wonderful sauce and cheese and those quality ingredients into your mouth, you're going to freaking be happy with this, guys. So for that reason, unbiased, I'm going A2. I'm going A2 on this thing, guys. Believe me, you would love this pizza. You see the way it looks. Come on, you hear it. You hear that crunch. Well, guys, that about does it for me. I hope you guys are enjoying these pizza tutorials. I'm not going to be doing these all the time. I want to do a couple. I want to do a Chicago pizza next. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Smash that like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can watch my videos as soon as they drop. Until next time, here's to good pizza, homemade pizza. This is Antonio, signing off.